Okay, hi everyone, Happy Friday！大家好，每周五的5点半到6点，我们就在这里聊一聊关于考试、关于备考、关于大学申请、关于等等跟教育有关的一些话题。那么每周五的5点半到6点的时间，我都会在这里跟大家一起沟通，然后分享更多的一个经验。如果知道我的就知道我是君老师，不知道的自我介绍一下哈，我是君老师。那么我也是 7EDU 的 founder。那么我和 Dr. 叶呢来去成立了这样的一个 organization，希望能够更多的帮到很多的学生。那么之前的话呢，我是在新东方做这个 test prep training，所以说有很多的这个 test strategy 的这个部分。那么来了美国这7、8年的时间呢，我们把这个 test strategy 和美国的这个教育的方式结合在一起，所以我们做了很多关于 SAT、ACT、AP training 的这样的一些内容。那么同时呢，在 Dr. Lin、Dr. Jessica 的加入后呢，我们也把整个的这个 full support planning 的做的也是非常的这个扎实。我们是希望能够有 counseling team 和 academic teacher 的两个这个 team 的老师共同的来去 holding student hands，然后帮助他们能够在整个的高中时期取得一个非常好的一个成就reach higher goal 这是我们的一个 mission。我们希望能更多的帮助到这个学生，然后也更多的通过这种 online 也好，或者是通过这种podcasting 的方式也好，帮助到更多的孩子。今天呢，我们的公开课呢会去邀请到我们的一个学生 Annie 那么 Annie 呢也会去交流一下她的这个心得，关于她的 test prep 心得，关于她的 college application 的心得。那么同时，我们之前也邀请了 Annie 写了一些关于她这个为什么放弃了 Cornell，为什么放弃了 CMU，为什么放弃了南加大，为什么选择了 Berkeley 等等这样的一些文章给大家所以说我们今天会跟她去做一个沟通。OK，好，Here we go. Hi, Annie.
Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes, everybody can hear you. Thank you for joining today's consulting June time. Okay, thank you so much. All right, so yeah, so first, congratulations, you got like so many offer. Okay, tell us how many offer you got.
Um, a decent amount, but definitely a good balance between rejections and admitted results. Yeah.
What is the
Sorry?
best so far? What is the best
Um,
record?
I mean, it's kind of hard to judge which one's the best one. Each of them have their different pros and cons, but I personally think that the college I chose was the best choice.
The Berkeley one, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I know you already shared the story about like why you gave up the Cornell and the CMU and South California University. So can you tell us a little bit more about like what's the reason you don't want to choose like Cornell, CMU, because that's a lot of like students' dream school.
Yeah. Great question. So I do get that a lot. A lot of peers, parents, they come up to me and go like, why did you choose Berkeley over, an Ivy League school per se? And honestly, I think that a lot of times students are kind of blinded by this idea of prestige and ranking. But I think what's really important is to actually visit the school, kind of visualize if you can actually see yourself there. And in the end, it's kind of what you're going to get out of the 4 years rather, oh, which school has the best name. And when I visited Cornell, for instance, I just didn't feel like it was the right environment for me. It was definitely more secluded, definitely away from California, so it was cold as well. And I like the California weather. And also for the program that I'm interested, or in the fields I'm interested in doing, Berkeley was the better choice. Also, Berkeley offered me a scholarship, so it was definitely something that I couldn't pass up. But in comparison to other choices, I did have a wide variety of choices. For instance, I had liberal arts college in Claremont McKenna, and it's also a great choice as well, especially since they're good at finance, economics, etc. But I think what's really important is to really go to visit that college, talk to their students, their alumni, really get an idea of what kind of resources they can provide to you. And for me, when I visited Berkeley, I realized that their entrepreneurship culture and their resources in connection to Silicon Valley and the tech field there is definitely something I can't pass up. So that's why I ultimately chose Berkeley, and I think in the end, it's really what you're going to get out of the 4 years rather than the name. Because once you enter college, trust me, the name, the brand, everything goes away. It's more about what you can get out of it.
Okay, I'm really happy you're so mature and have those kind of like,
Thank you.
long-term thinking. So you mentioned like you want to stay California. That's part of the reason you want to reject the Cornell and CMU, right? And how about like the UCLA and South California University, like the USC, those kind of California university. Why is like,
Yes.
because we all know like the Berkeley is hard to choose the course, it's kind of like very
Yeah.
packed, yeah.
Yeah, so part of the reason is to give some context, I am interested in the field of business and CS. And so out of the choices of Claremont McKenna, the UCs, and USC, Berkeley does have the, kind of the top priority because Berkeley, even though they do have a business program that you have to apply to again, they do have a lot of resources there already available. And yes, as you mentioned, when you go to a UC or any public school, you do face that challenge of course registration and things like that. But for me, being honored the scholarship was definitely something that helped me make the decision because it helps with course registration, priority housing, and one-on-one mentorship, and that's something that I considered.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
of course you want to save some money for your parents, right?
Yeah, USC is very expensive.
You mentioned like about like the price matching like with your
Yes.
brother. So do you want to share a little bit about that? I think that's a good way for a lot of parents with
Yeah.
kids, right?
Yeah, so my parents, they definitely value education, so they're willing to pay that extra money for private institution. And so my brother went to Johns Hopkins, which is very, very expensive, including tuition and board. And, my parents also gave me the option to attend a private school if I wanted to. But I thought that money was also a big factor, given that Berkeley was probably maybe 40K cheaper or more compared to other institutions. And so my brother, what my parents kind of proposed is to have the difference in my brother's tuition and my tuition and use that money to save into my account for, later on use if I want to, invest or anything. But it's just an idea my parents proposed.
They do price matching. You're lucky to have the parents like that.
Yeah, my parents are very equal.
Yes, yes. And do you feel like the pressure during the whole high school and also the college education the process? Because we know like a lot of students, they have the pressure, especially part of the pressure from from family, right? Obviously,
Right.
like, the parents have like higher expectation. How you feel about that way?
I think inevitably, students will have to face some kind of pressure throughout the college application process and throughout high school. And we understand as students that parents want the most from us and for us. And so they oftentimes, push us and want us to do better. But I think what my parents did was, I remember in middle school they were very pushy, but then in high school I became more self-motivated because I had a sense of direction. And that's why they kind of, let loose a little bit. And they were still like, they still cared about, grades, but they weren't super pushy. Like, for instance, if I didn't perform as well as I wanted to on a test, they wouldn't get angry. They would just say, oh yeah, you tried. And for me, I always felt that the pressure was kind of put on by myself. I was the one who pushed myself to, apply to different programs, to get involved in different activities, and to aim higher in the college application process because my motivation was to kind of prove to my parents that without their, pushing me and pressuring me, I can still perform well. And I think that parents, they should have kind of an idea of how their students would perform under pressure. And some students, they prefer to be more self-motivated. In that sense, I think that parents should be a little looser on them, but students do need a little bit more discipline sometimes, but I think generally speaking, it's also good to give students the responsibility to look after themselves.
Okay, that sounds so good because I know your mom like treasure you a lot, and she
Yeah,
doesn't want to really give you too much pressure. But remember when I first met you when you were like grade 9, I think it's like heading
yeah,
grade 9, right? You were not like that much self motivated. So what
yeah.
can you like what can get you like more motivated? With the
Motivated.
yes with motivated.
Yeah, so I think it definitely comes with time and discovering what you're really interested in and where your passions lie. In freshman year, I didn't really have that sense of direction. I was just exploring, and that sense of urgency just wasn't there yet. But I think
Exactly.
as yeah, but as students progress through high school, they kind of realize like, oh, like this is what I'm gonna get out of this is how much I'm gonna put into it, and that was the kind of mindset I went with
So it's a
while
peer.
going through
Is
that.
is a peer, is the friends, is like the classmate, and like the whole environment make you realize that you need to take things seriously. Step.
In a way, yeah. In a way, yes.
Oh wow, this is so
Yeah.
basically we're giving the students advice like you want to take time, and so parents who are listening, you need to give more patience and also time because every student have different time zone, right? So
Exactly.
you don't know when at that certain point they just become self motivated. So you just
Exactly.
dating them. Yeah, that's part of
So
it.
they just,
Yeah,
right.
and what part that you don't like about like how parents when they give you the pressure, they push you, which part you don't like? Because most of the situation is like, for example, we suggest a student to prepare for their all the kind of like tests, and also they need to get like the test down once, right? We don't want them
Right.
to keep working on it, you know what I'm saying, like
Yeah.
over. Yeah, but the thing is, like, a lot of parents try to let them to prepare for the test or take the class or just do some practice, but they just refuse to do that. We have like a
Mhm.
lot of conversation like that. So, what do you think would cause that reason? So, what you guys usually talk about in the school?
Um, that's kind of a tough one because I do know that students do get frustrated with all this test prep and their parents pushing them. I being one of them at one point. I think it's just because with so much already on our plates, with activities and schoolwork, grades to handle, and then on top of that, parents push more. It just seems kind of overwhelming. But I think in a sense, we do understand that parents do want the best of us. And I think to kind of get past that obstacle is to, once again, to really see where your goals lie. Like, there's no way you can get to, your end goal without trying hard and putting in that extra effort. Because in Chinese, there's this one term called 先苦后甜, which is like, it translates into first bitter then sweet. So I kind of
Do
just
you
thought,
believe
if I
that?
just,
You believe the 先苦后
yeah,
甜?
I do believe that,
Oh,
yes.
that's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah, like, throughout high school there are times when I did feel like, oh, this is really tough on me, but now I'm happy and I'm really happy with the results. So I think that's something that students and parents can think about, but also don't push yourself too much. Like, you do need to have a little bit of balance and kind of step back sometimes and just look at what I need to improve on rather than just keep pushing on it. Yeah.
Okay, I see. So, you mentioned like the parents should not push too much on their kids, but what if like if you don't push the kids and the kids just never move or they will never have their self motivation? So, what are gonna be, the consequence, right? So, I'm a parent. Okay, so for parents, we can't really take the risk of letting the kids just, they just follow their own pace. That's something like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
am a teacher and also the parents we cannot handle. So are you sure like most of the student they can figure out for some sort of time, or you believe like it depends on different students?
I definitely believe that it depends on each student. I do know a lot of classmates who aren't self-motivated and a lot of classmates who are. So I think it really depends on, when they discover, or like when they discover, oh, this is the time when I actually need to start working hard. But some students never really hit that point in high school. So I think what parents need to do is really discover like what works for their students, because sometimes if the student isn't motivated and the parents are constantly on their backs, like, do this, do this, do this, and then the student still doesn't do it, I think that's not really effective, right? I think the student and the parent needs to come up with some kind of compromise, and the parent needs to discover what works best for the students. And once again, I do believe that in the end, students will be motivated if they discover something that they like to do. I do have friends who aren't necessarily, academically inclined, and that's not an area that they want to, pursue. But then in the arts, they are super excelling, and even within arts, they can get into great colleges. Like in the end, it's not just about one direction. I think parents and students need to be more open-minded and to look from different perspectives and find some kind of compromise that works for both of them.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So, during the process of this application for your major, for your school list, and
Right.
how much your parents involved,
Actually, for me, yeah, not at all, actually.
mom is listening.
Yeah, I mean, my parents, they're not as strict as most parents. They don't really, they don't really have any like opinion, or they don't care as much as to what major I'm doing, as long as it's something I'm enjoying. And my parents really believe that, as long as I'm happy, I'm healthy, and I'm thriving, then that's all that matters. And I remember my brother was applying to college like maybe 6 years ago. They were like, oh, we should do engineering, like computer engineering, right? Or like computer science, because, salary is high. But then he ended up going into, biochemistry, but I think they're still very accepting. And for me, when I discovered an interest in business and those fields, they were very accepting. They never said, oh no, like do another field. They were very accepting as to any field I was interested in. So I think that was good.
Okay, wow, that sounds very sweet. And then when they started treating you like this, since you were little, or they start changing it.
Well, my parents never really talked about like, what job you're gonna do or what major you're gonna do in middle school. That was something that I kind of discovered for myself and kind of told them, oh, I think I'm interested in this over time when I discovered that interest. I think in middle school and elementary school, or middle school and below, they were more hard on me in terms of like academics and just like being a better person. But in terms of major and like career path, they never guided me at all.
Okay, so do you consider yourself to be a goody daughter? Like you never go against your parents, and there's no rebel period, or you kind of like try to adjust that part?
I mean, to be truthful, there are times when I don't agree with my parents. I think that's kind of inevitable. I don't think students should just like completely follow what their parents say, but should also take it into consideration. Um, like my parents, sometimes they tell me, oh, you should have done this on the application. Like you're not gonna like do well if you don't put this. But I'm like, no, mom, I know what I'm doing, and this is what I want to put on my application. Or no, mom, this is an activity I really care about, and that's why I'm putting extra time. So I think it has to be reasonable, but I think there are definitely times when students will disagree with their parents. That's kind of inevitable. But in the end, it's kind of what's best for the child. And
Oh, that's good to hear. Do you want to share a little bit more about like the club that we come up with together, and then you are just in charge of like building up these organizations with like opportunity for the students to grow their ability and for the education equity?
yeah, so I'm working with 7EDU to establish a student-run organization to help high school students around the world achieve educational equity. Because if you look at different areas, we see that some students, they don't have access to different resources, to career opportunities, to the opportunities to discover which areas they're interested in. And that's definitely a disparity that we want to solve. And even though we see 7EDU as like test prep, as counseling, I think we're definitely much more than that. And that's something that I want to help bring out with the team. And so we're establishing this student-run organization that's open to any high school students who are willing to take that initiative to be on our leadership team, and also help push that initiative to promote educational equity around the world, because we do have connections with different countries, students in all sorts of areas, all different backgrounds. And so if you're a student, or if you're a parent who knows of a child or student who's interested in being a part of this, it's definitely a great experience. We do have hands-on opportunities for students to work on the leadership team in terms of, leading the team, also part of marketing, outreach, tech, building the curriculum, whether you're interested in bio, arts, social sciences, anything. Like, we take all backgrounds and interests, and yeah, we're definitely still looking for motivated students who are interested. So yeah, definitely check it out.
Yeah, I'm
If you're
sure
interested, contact me.
excited.
Yeah.
You also have the big heart, and you can, and I hope you can pass the, the self motivation and also the leadership to the younger students, right? Who they are going to take from you, and you can just help them to figure out what they like, what they can, work on in the future, which is something I feel very excited. And thank you so much for that. Okay, so we want to spend like another 10 minutes to talk a little bit about like the news, the biggest news today. I think it's coming
Yeah,
from yesterday. Have you heard about that? The SAT, the diversity score.
definitely.
Okay, I want to know
Most
what do you
definitely.
think as a student. What do you think about that diversity score? Because I have a lot of comments today from like yesterday. Some parents ask me, should I just do some crime, a divorce, and move to some like rural area because I need to get a better chance for my kids. This is very hilarious time. Yeah. So what do you think?
Yeah, honestly, I thought it was kind of, interesting news as well.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, because I do understand that colleges do want to like equalize the play, or even test prep, like not test prep, but like college board. They're trying to equalize the playing field for students, but I think it's kind of, it has a certain extent. Like, colleges already are valuing students partially based on like different factors, including like socioeconomics and demographics. And I think by having an adversity score that further emphasizes that is kind of, I personally think it's not necessary. And
I believe is a bad idea.
yeah, I think that colleges
horrible.
are already
Yeah.
doing their job, and there's, even though like they're still working towards achieving educational quality, but I think this just kind of pushes parents to take
It's definitely misleading.
yeah,
Yeah, because you want to
yeah,
just
because
provide like healthy environment for your kids to growing up, right? But if
right,
you want to benefit those who doesn't have it, so kind of like misleading, right? So I mean, those kids who can get like diversity score and they get in the top schools, so that's fine. But I mean, in the future, for example, they
right,
become
exactly,
doctor, they become lawyer, they become engineer, whatever. So I'm not going to find a doctor who graduated from like, let's say, Yale or Stanford, but they get there because they got like diversity score. How can I trust to put my life to their hands,
yeah,
right?
it's kind of difficult, but I think
Exactly.
in the end, yeah, it's like getting into college is one thing, but getting out is another. So
Exactly.
yeah.
The real word is always like, strongest to survive. And you can't just basically, putting like equality to everybody and just try to force the equality to everybody, right? Is there any discussion or debating or kind of like emotional impact for the students in the school so far?
Yeah, I mean, I do live in an Asian community, so everyone here is definitely very frustrated, and it's understandable. But I personally don't think it will make that big of a difference as of like the following year, maybe in the future. But I don't think we should stress too much. Like, it's kind of to take such a big leap into that is, I don't think it's possible. I think it's just, yeah, it's something that they're trying to explore, but I don't think it'll make that big of a difference as to like
Smart,
next
smart.
year.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. And actually, if you look at those kind of colleges that they want to, just to get rid of SAT score and also the college is trying to give like the more opportunity for the low income, so it's a goodwill, I would say, but it definitely cannot be the law or the regulations to let people, for example, they have to show us clearly how they're gonna using the diversity score. For example, one student get 1,600 full score, just because their parents not divorced and then they're still living in the good area, cannot just deduct their score, right? And if they want to deduct like that, what is the factor? I think those kind of factors kind of like pretty kind of like in the air, because when you register for the SAT, they give you a lot of like question, ask you to fill the surveys. I don't know if you notice or not, but I know a lot of students, they won't fill anything about that. So basically they still take like part of the information from the students, not all of them. Yeah. So I would say for the next 3 years, maybe that's not like anything gonna affect, but definitely this is something we feel like it's not reasonable. But I do believe if you have like solid foundation and you're like good enough, and you won't be affected, even those kind of like kind of silly policy gonna come out true, you won't be affected. Yeah, that's what I believe. And tell your friends, don't worry about that. Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah,
okay.
like it's
So
definitely
now,
news.
yeah, it is really. Yeah. So now we have like 5 minutes. We want to kind of like have a Q&A time. If you have any question, you can just ask me or ask Annie. So any question from anyone? So yeah, you can private message me or you can just ask me. All right. Okay. So I got one question. So, this is question actually is like what I want to ask you. Do you consider yourself to be a 学霸? I think it's definitely from one student. Do you consider yourself as a 学霸?
So to translate 学霸 is kind of like someone who really studies very, very hard.
Like gifted
yeah,
students,
kind of,
talent students.
Yeah. I'd say that in all honesty, probably not. Like I did have a very good balance between activities and academics. I did very much value academics, but I think one of the hooks in my application was kind of my story and my activities that kind of matched and fit with my story. So like my academics were there, but I think the major like sparking point or like the highlight of my application was definitely the activity. So I definitely had a good balance between social, academic, and activity life. So
yes,
not too much, but I did spend a lot of time studying.
Yeah. Yes, and I also believe you're a hardworking student. Yeah, remember when you struggled with SAT at the beginning, but you prepared pretty early, starting from 10th grade, right? You finally did a good job. That's amazing. Okay,
Thank
wow.
you.
Yeah, that's a question. All right, okay. Thank you so much, Annie. Thank you for sharing all the stories, and thank you being so transparent with everyone. And we're so proud of you, and also I so proud of you for your parents. That's very proud of you too. Thank you for sharing everything, and let's work on the club together. And we're gonna let you, lead more students to heading to success. Okay. And if you have any question or interested in to know the education organization, so just please contact us, and so Annie gonna give you more explanation in the later on. Okay. All right, thank you. 谢谢大家。那么刚才我们提到了关于这个 Education Club 的部分哈，如果大家对这个有兴趣的话呢，我们可以继续来沟通。就是 Annie 和CMU 呢一起来去 found 一个叫做 non-profit organization， 这个目的是为了解决教育的这个平等、教育的不平等和为了致力于教育平等而努力的一个 organization， 是由学生来去进行的一个组织。那么这个里边呢，可以锻炼到孩子的这个 leadership 的能力 organization 的能力，包括他的这个 management 能力，以及如果你对这个 business running 或者是对management leadership 以及还有一些职位是关于 finance 的，对不对？这些的话都可以得到一些锻炼。那么我们现在也正在招募中，那么如果大家有兴趣的话，可以具体了解。OK， All right， OK， 今天就到这里啊，非常感谢 Annie 再次谢谢大家。那么我们有任何问题可以随时沟通。Thank you Annie， 拜拜。See you tomorrow. See you next Monday. Bye. OK， 好，感谢大家这周五的 consulting 君的时间。那么我们的下周呢，会在 Evergreen 举行一次的线下的讲座。那么这个讲座呢，主要我们会探讨关于就是现在的这个 diversity score 出来之后的新的政策下，我们应该怎么去计划我们的这个大学申请以及整个高中的这样的一个 activity 的一个 planning， 包括还有它的这个 academic 的部分应该怎么办。但是有一个原则，希望大家也就是不要特别的焦虑，因为在任何一种政策下，或者是一种这个不管是左或者是右的这种倾向之下，真正的去增长实力，我觉得是最重要的。我觉得就是今天我在跟几个老师和这个家长在聊的时候，我们也很觉得就是说，其实在某一阶段有一些地方的政策，比如说取消高考呀，比如说文盲可以上大学呀等等，这些都只是暂时的，真正的让孩子打好基础的话，我觉得这些都是不会受影响。所以说接下来我还是希望就是说大家不要被这样的一些这种所谓的就是比较左的一些消息所影响，就即便是这个我们的这个共识，我们都是相信就是一个在健康的家庭中成长的孩子一定是会成为一个对这个社会有用的人，同时他自己的人生也会是一个丰富的富足的。OK， 好，今天的这个 consulting 军时间就到这里了啊，那么我们就下一个周五的5点半的时间不见不散。See you next Friday， 拜拜 ，Thank you。